Hello guys, and in the last video we have discussed about validation and how to validate the incoming requests from the client. For example, we have validated when we have created a user and that user may have email and password, so we validated with is email is not empty. And for the case of updating a user, so when they are updating, what we wanted to do is optionals, to make it optional, that this attribute is optional. But if the user has requested for the password to be updated, the minimum length, I think I made a mistake here. It should have been 4, similar to the create. Yeah. Okay. In today's section, what we'll do is we'll add uh, we will add another module. This module will be called more posts. So basically, the posts will be handled by the author, which is the user, so they could create, delete, and update posts. So, but we are doing the post module a bit differently. So as you have noticed, when we have created the user module, we had to create several files, which is user service, module controller, admin controller, entities, the DTO, like a lot of files. And I think that is really inefficient, and which is to many of people would think that this is a lot. Although it is elegant, it is difficult and it's time consuming. So there is another thing, as you may have started with me previously when you initializing the Nestjs, we use the command called nest new app, or like any application, and we will, in this case, to create the new module, we will use the CLI tool as well. So amazingly, the Nest CLI has a lot of other stuff that creates a boiler template for us. So for now, for example, if you want to do everything we have done in users module but without the attributes in it for the classes, but the controllers and those stuff already, what we will do is we will say nest generate, and we will call it resource, and then we'll mention the folder or the module's name. So here we'll mention the module's name as posts. So after pressing next generate resource posts, it is asking for us different options here, similar to what we had options in the previous one. We have several options. So for now, we choose REST API, the first one. So just click that. So press enter, and then it's asking for us to generate CRUD entry endpoints. So if you don't know what the CRUD entry point means, we will check it out. So we'll just click yes. And the moment you say yes, if you have noticed, it created a posts folder. And now, as you have noticed, it created similar concept of our users, and it has service, post module, controller. So we check first the post module, and if you have noticed, it registered the service and controller. We have our module file that register everything. We have our service, and you have noticed that like we have different functionalities like create, find all, find one, update, and remove. And in controller, similar to services, we have the endpoints, so the CRUD endpoints that we have asked for it to generate. So that's what it was asking for. So here it generated the different functions, and it asked us as well. It added the post service as well, and added. So we don't have to do anything in the controller here, but we just have to change some things in the services and add our attributes in the post class. And in as well create post and update post. So let's dive into the entity first. So I'll click the post entity, and then in here what we will do is we will ask for, so for a post to have, we will use title, that will be a string, and we'll ask for body, that will be a string, and we will be having author ID, that will be a number. So that will be the initial data, and what we'll do is we'll have a constructor. So either we could do it this way, right? We could do it this way, or we could do it the other way around, where we will use curly braces and just initialize it from here. We'll mention here private title, private body, and private author ID. So it will initialize it this way, and we'll add the types for it, and here we'll say type of string and we'll mention the title is the type of string. So now we have our class here. What's next is we will add the logic for the DTO as well. So for create post DTO, or in previously we mentioned as input, it is similar concept, just the naming sense is different. So create post DTO. So when we are creating for the post, we will ask for the title, and we will ask for the body. We will ask for the author ID as well. So actually everything we will ask here. And for the update, also click the update post. So what we will do here, if you have noticed, it does some other logic, but we will remove here. So remove from extent, and so remove this from extents until the partial type class. So remove that, remove these two imports, we don't need it. And in update post DTO, what we will change here, what we will add here is, we don't want the author ID to be changed, but we may be able to change the title, and we are able to change the body as well. So that will be it for the update post DTO. And now next would be creating the logic in the service. Before that, let's create our initial data for the post entity. So let's create posts, and it will be having an array, and I think initially it will be empty, so it just initialize as an empty array. And moving on, we will change some logic in the post.service. If you have noticed, it just returns a string, but instead we will create a new post. So similar what we have done to user service, we'll add our logic here. So what we'll do is in create, so let's remove this one. I'll mention the same one, so we'll say const. We'll import our users from here, so we'll say from, no, not users, but basically posts. So we will go to the entities, and we'll import our post entity. That will be the post itself and a list of posts. So here we'll import, we will say new post. Let's create a new post. We'll initialize as new post, and we will put in the create post DTO. Initialization, we'll spread it. I think, yeah, wait, doesn't work? Okay, never mind. So I think let's destructure the create post DTO. So let's remove it, put curly braces in it, and we will ask for author ID, body, and title. So here we'll add our title, body, and author ID. So now we have initialized it. We have created a new instance of a post. So what we will do is we will push the new post in our array. So we mention push new post, and then we will let me format this, and we return our latest new post to the user. So that will be it, and here we'll remove this part, and we'll mention it will be post itself, and here find one, it will be an ID, and the ID will be the array itself. So we mention posts, and here we mention the ID. Okay, for the update, so it will be, what we will do here is we will search for the post itself, so we mention post equals to posts ID, so the array itself, and we will ask for updated posts here, and we'll mention we will put curly braces, and we will put our previous post and with the latest updated post as well. So any attributes we have from the updated post, we'll push it towards the object. And what's next would be is changing the current posts into the updated posts. Not updated post. Okay, with the D. All right, and then return as well our updated post. Let's update remove. So we will be saying Control X, and then we will say return posts dot splice, and we will remove only one, so that will be it, and return post splice, and we will return our spliced users, and that will be it for this service. So now if you've noticed, we have done all the logics for the post controller, post, okay, post entity, update, and create post. Now similar what we have done to our validators for user entity, we will add our validators as well for our posts, but in this case again we have to change some stuff. Possibly post doesn't matter, but the create post DTO matters. So we will add our validators here. So we mention is not empty. So that will be coming from our validator from class validator. And we will mention it should be a string. We don't mind the length of the string, but we'll use that for each body and title. And for the author ID, we'll just mention it is not empty, and as well is number. So we'll mention is number, and that will be it for create post DTO. And for update DTO, what we'll do as mentioned before, so we'll copy this, so it will be a string. So for both the body and the string, and for the body and the title, and it's coming from class validator, but they are optional, so we mention is optional. And oh yeah, I forgot to add question mark. Don't forget to add the question mark for update post PTO because they are optional. So we'll add here is optional as well. All right, so that will be it for this part. And now let us run this project and test out if our post is running fine. And yeah, so to run our project, we will use as npm run start dev, and we will open our localhost browser and we'll ask for it. Okay, let's wait for it. All right, so we will refresh this, and if you have noticed localhost 3000, there's no problems. So in order to know what the endpoint is for the post, we will go to the post controller, and it will have the same name as the folder itself when it is being generated by Nestjs. So it is called posts. So we will go to posts. So but for now we don't have any data, so let's add some data and create it from the postman. And we will open it from here. We'll take this and put a new endpoint here, and that endpoint will be called just posts. It will be just called posts, and we'll use this post, and we'll use the body, we'll use row and as JSON, and we will use here the title, hello world, body, ipso, and for the ID, author ID, we'll be using 0. Doesn't matter, 0 or 1, so 1 for this case. So we'll send that. And we have created one post. Let's create another one. And let's create a third one. And let us check the list. And everything is working fine. We get the list of the posts. And as well, we'll be able to check the first post will be post 0, post 1, so post 2, and post 3. For delete, we don't have post 3. So for delete, we are able to do that as well, or update through, so you could test it out. But you could test it out. But I think another thing would be, okay, since we have completed our posts, I think the ID of number is a bit a bit difficult to read by the client. So it would be really better to get the user itself the email, or like the email itself instead of the ID only. And how would we do that? In order to do instead of ID and getting the email, what we have to do is we have to use the user service in the post service. So we have to use the user service that has the get user, and the get user will, instead of putting ID, so it will be giving us the user itself. And so basically we have to get the post service to have the user service. So normally what we would do is we will go to the constructor here, and we will call private user service, and coming from the users service. So import it, and it don't be source. Okay, now when it's running, it gives you a problem, and that's the thing that we want to solve for the next video, for the next section, where how would we be able to use the user service to map the ID towards a specific user by using our user service coming from a different module. So I think that's about it, and we will talk about this in the next video. And for this video, and if you want to use the similar that will if you want to, there are different other commands to use for generating stuff for Nestjs, and you'll be able to see it from Nest help and just explore. So you'll be able to see different commands that you can use for generating, such as us. What we have done is generating a whole module, and yeah, just try it out. And okay, there you go. So you will be able to see the different sections, different information, different projects that you could do. If you don't understand it, just try to you could just call the command and see what it does. And as well, if you still don't understand the CLI, you'll be able to see it through their documentation. They have a documentation where they talk about the CLI itself, and that will be under the script. So CLI under scripts, you'll be seeing the different commands. Not CLI script, well, over here specifically. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much, and have a good day.